Alright guys, Shannon Bright here, hoping to shed some light on how to rewire a house and run wires through a stud, through sheetrock, through your wall, down into your crawl space. This is an old 1955 Rancher, and we're giving a facelift here. We're restoring this old house and restored the lights. We've redone our floors, just redoing a whole lot of the house here. Just really giving a modernized facelift to this old house. So having to do some wiring. We're going to put some recessed lights up in this living room ceiling here. We're going to put 6 recessed lights. Sorry, this blue cast is my headlamp. I have a breaker shut off for the electrical I'm doing. So what we're doing here, I'll show you what we're starting off. So there's our fuse box. We obviously have the sheetrock off this wall. We're redoing a lot of the electrical, so we took the old sheetrock out. We're going to re-sheetrock. So what we have here, what we wanted to do originally was to run some 12-2 wire from this fuse box. These are some wires I've already ran. It's not to do with this project, but I've put some wires here in this fuse box, and we wanted to go up into the attic, over and down into this switch. So we want to put recessed lights here. Well, what we've done, so this right here is a switch. This is original with the house. This switch does the kitchen. This switch right here does this fan and light. So we need to add a third for these new lights we're putting. So you get this right here. This is going to be your box, your three switch box. You need about $3 or $4 at Home Depot. That's what we're going to replace this with. I have to take all these out. We wanted to just run straight up and over to the power. Simple enough. We go right up through the attic, right through here in the ceiling, and go straight down this column and right into here in this old switch. This switch right here was already here, but I've taken this off. This was a single box. This was a switch already in the house that powered the ugly chandelier there. And I have taken that old box out, already put a double box because I'm putting an extra switch here. So switch here, switch there, lights up there. What do you think? How simple? You know, we'll go from the box to the outlet, up across the attic and down the pillar, and make it, you know, put the switch here. Easy enough. Well, like everything else, it's never that easy. This pillar, solid all the way through. You can actually see where I started to drill. There's a hole right in there, if you can see with the light, and it's solid all the way through. It's 5 2x4 stacked, so that it's completely solid, cannot go through that. So, had to redo a plan. I guess if you can't go up, you gotta go down. You gotta go in the crawl space, single-story home. So we think, all right, we already got the hole cut out. Let's just shove the wires down in. So I'll go ahead and put this light in here so you can see what we're dealing with the camera. We have a 12-2 wire. This here's our 12-2 for power. And this right here is a 12-3. Sorry, I'm out of focus for some reason here. That's a 12-3 wire and a 12-2. And that 12-3 is what you connect your switch to switch. Is your 12-3. 12-2 is only for your power. So I got to run my 12-2 from this switch to the fuse box under the house and run the 12-3 from the switch to that switch, and then follow with a 12-2 from that switch to these lights. And I don't have to daisy chain, where you go light to light to light to light to light to light, 6 lights. So that's how that has to run with the full circuit. What we've had to do, and I'll show you with the light in here. I'll put you inside so you'll see this light right here, the gray. That's the original light for the ugly chandelier, already in there. And here is the 2 wires that we ran. Now you're thinking, the floor, that's not the floor you're looking at. That is a firewall or something. I don't really know why that's in there, some kind of bracing. That is a 2x4 that lays about right there in the wall, and I don't know why it's in there. I'm thinking maybe a firewall, not really sure. But we gotta go down on the floor here. Move my tools out of the way. So here's that's the main support beam of the house. Sorry, the light's blinding. That's the main support beam of the house right there in the bottom of the sheetrock, and here's the floor. So what we've done, had to get up underneath the house, and you can kind of see this right here. See this hole here in what I've drilled. So I didn't hit the floor. There's the floor. You know, obviously the siding, our trim has been pulled off. And so there's the subfloor, there's the board, and here's the wires here poking through, and there's the hole that I drilled from. I had to get underneath the crawl space and drill up into this spot. So what we've done I thought, man, how the heck am I gonna drill? I'm gonna have to hit 2 holes essentially through this stupid 2x4 and then through this other 2x4 through the main stud. I gotta hit 2 holes blindly. So first off, let me show you how I did the hole. This right here at Home Depot, it's a Ryobi brand. It was $9.99. This is a flexible. It's flexible. It's a drill bit extension that is flexy. You can bend this thing up to 90 degrees, like so, and it screws into the end of your drill. And then to make it even longer, I have an extension. This is by Bosch, all at Home Depot, also $9.99. And you just pull this little piece back, like this, and you snap in your piece. I'll show you here. You just snap in the piece like so. So I got my spade bit, and I've snapped that in place. And it's really hard, you cannot pull that out. And yet it locks into place with this little snap. So put this in here, and that will hold. Then you have a 12-inch extension with your spade bit, which is a 3/4 spade. A 3/4 because I'm running 2 different wires here, so 3/4 spade. And then I have my flexi bit here. So I got my drill and I put it down in here. This is a piece of cardboard just to protect my outer rim of my sheetrock. So I bent this piece in here and I ran it down and I spun it until I drilled my hole out, which you can see. And then I got underneath the house with the same extension and spade bit and sat down in the floor in the crawl space and drilled this hole out from underneath and went straight up. So now I'm still just gauging. All I did was measure underneath the house. I can kind of tell where this is underneath the house, so I measure over, and then over here I measured where my hole was in here from over and tried to just line it up best I could. Still blind. So what I've done, I got a piece of twine here, and I tied some just nuts just for weight. Threw it down in the hole. I got it lined up, and it literally just dangled down in there, and it went through the hole and down in there, so it fished all down the wall like so. Pretend this is behind the wall, all down the wall. Well then, I'm just hitting on the floor, so then you got to find some way to fish it. So I'll show you how I did that. Again, you would think this is behind the wall here. It's going down behind. So again, think that that's behind the wall. So what I did was get a magnet here, like a $2 or $3. I already had one here. And I put a napkin on the wall to keep it from scratching. And just went all the way down the wall, and I basically forced this nut, just like so. And I was on the other side of the wall and forced it all the way down through there, and forced that nut down to that hole. And then I was able to then pull the nut out. Again, this string would be inside the wall. Pulled this nut out, laid it here on the floor, and then I was able to tie my twine to the end of my cord, made a nice knot, put some electric tape, wrapped it on there real nice and snug, and then I pulled the wire down in here, went back over here, dropped the nut down into the hole, and then let it fall down to the crawl space, and then I just had one hand over here, and I shoved it down the wall, down in there. This is just all with a one-man job. Shoved it all down in here, while I was able to kind of grab it here and just kind of force it down in there, kind of get it going, and then just force it into place. Shoved it in there best I could. Then I had to get down to the crawl space, and of course from this angle had to get the wire and pull it underneath. And I pulled it. This is a 50-foot cord. Each is 50 foot, and I of course tied little ends here so I would hit the wall and not go all the way through, because you don't want to get that stuck in there. You'll never get it out. But yeah, I pulled that through. So now I've got it run underneath the house, from here underneath the house all the way to this point right here in the crawl space. I'm about to take my 3/4 drill bit, my spade, drill a hole here, get underneath the house and feed this up through, and it'll come right up through here and into my switch. And then the other side, I'm going to drill, we have this sheetrock, I'm going to drill, there's already some pre-drill holes down in there underneath my spot. There's a hole right there. I can zoom in right there. There's already a hole there. So I'm just going to shove it right up through that hole and right into the base of my fuse box there. So that's how I did that. A little redneck engineering down here in the South, Tennessee. That's how I did that. Maybe that'll help you. There's all kinds of videos about rollers and heavy magnets and all that, but that's going up a wall. This, you're trying to let gravity do it, but you're fighting this hole down in here. You're fighting that interior hole, and you're fighting that hole. So it's just as simple as a magnet, as a, you know, some kind of metal, a bolt, another magnet, something. Drop it heavy, drop it down in there. A fishing weight, doesn't matter. Drop it down in there. Fish it out with a magnet, tie it onto your wires, and pull it down through. And get down underneath in your crawl space or your basement, and just yank it on through until you're done. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully that gives you a different perspective, and just the things you get into when you're remodeling these old houses. It's just never easy. It's always a different turn. There's not a manual for it. You just got to figure it out. So that's what we did. And I'll pull this on through and put it behind the wall. I'll tie it to my switch, and I'll shove that in there, button it up. I'll have 2 switches, and then we'll be good to go. Thanks.